Hi there, it's Sam from Pootles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today I have an extra large paper bag for you. Isn't that beautiful? How gorgeous is that? But it's a big bag, and a few people have said recently that they absolutely love my small bags and boxes that I make, but could I make a couple that were maybe bigger? So that's been my kind of challenge recently. So this is one that I came up with for you. It uses a piece of paper that is 12 by 12. You wouldn't want to be putting really heavy stuff in this because it is a paper bag, but obviously you could make a cardstock version, so you know you could do that and put heavier things in. Anyway, I'm going to pop that out to one side for a minute because it's big and I need a big sheet of paper. And you need, obviously, a simply scored scoring tool, my favourite tool, and I know lots of my customers absolutely adore this too. And then you need a piece of 12 by 12. Now, I didn't have an up and down kind of pattern. This is obviously just a random one, but this one, it quite obviously let's get the writing the right way up. The writing is in this fashion, so with your writing so you can see it and it makes sense to you, that's the way you would want to have it. And then the first score line comes at 2 1/4. Don't worry, I will put everything in on my blog, and I will tell you as well the metrics in a minute, but it's 2 1/4, 5 3/4, 8 inches and 11.5 inches. And for our lovely metrics who prefer to work in metric, 30.5 by 30.5 sheet of paper, and you're going to score yours at 5.5 centimetres, 14.5, 20 and 29 centimetres. So that's the way you want to do it. Now, keeping the writing, we're going to fold it that way, so the writing you would have to turn and have it this way. So that's how you do it, and to keep it with obviously the writing, you know, so it makes sense. And then we're going to score this one at 2 1/4, and again at 9 1/4. And for the metrics, you're going to score yours at 5.5 and again at 23.5. Okay, move the scoring tool out of the way, and I'm going to fold these score lines. Put all of these up. And just don't be too heavy-handed when you're working with paper. You can burnish this. I used to be a little bit panicked about it cracking, but actually I've not yet had it crack. But don't just wallop your scoring stylus through it. It wouldn't appreciate that. Right, there's some bits to cut off. So we've got a slightly longer bit here and a shorter bit here. This is the bottom. So cut up the score lines. I've turned it around so this lovely spotty side is up because you can probably see it better than working with those chevrons. So cut up all of those score lines. And when you come to the last one with the little skinny rectangle, that's the one we want to get rid of. So this is how the box is going to fold. So this part here where the seam is, that's going to be our back, so we need to actually keep hold of this one here that's closest to this thin score line, but lose everything else. So I'm going to just trim that skinny rectangle off and then get rid of those three. Don't need those at all. And then come and cut all the way along. If you're not handy with the scissors, you could use your trimmer. I'm not bad with my scissors. So there we go. So that is now that will fold over and become the front. What I want to do is I want to soften the edges. You probably perhaps can't see it. I've got a little scallop edge going on here. So I've got my scallop border punch. And I'm just going to line it up, and I'm going to go straight into the middle. So I'm looking down on it, hopefully without the top of my head in the camera, looking straight down, and then I can punch in the middle, and then I can just line these bits up with the silvery scallopy bit there, so I know that I've got the perfect line all the way along. There we go, so it's a pretty line all the way along, and then with the extra bit here, this one was Wisteria Wonder, I've got Coastal Cabana this time. I'm just going to do exactly the same. So straight into the middle and slide it along. Hopefully you can see that a little better. These little silvery edges. Oh, I didn't line that up very well, did I? It's 'cause I'm having to kind of almost look down my nose to look at it. Do you know what? That's not very pretty at all. So we'll turn around, we'll use the other side. Let's do that again. And hopefully I will get this. That's better. Much better. Look at that. It's a good job you have two sides. And then this is just going to sit under here. Doesn't really matter how far down. Where's my sticky strip? Or my snail, I should say. So some snail towards the top part, because obviously we don't want it all to be stuck down. And then just lay it on. And now the fun part comes as to where to punch your holes. Punch them in this bit first, and then we're going to need to use a paper piercer on the other side. So decide where you want them to go. I've put my hole punch down. I haven't. I got it out and then put it back. Decide where you want your holes to go on the front part, and punch those in first, and then when it's folded over, it will fold completely flat over this part. You need to pop, you know, get a pencil or something, mark your holes, because I, to be fair, don't know any kind of long reach punch that's going to reach down there. This one isn't, so you need your paper piercer, and you need to wiggle quite a big hole. So that's the hole of reasonable size. Hopefully you can see those. And that's, this all, you know, is obviously the close process. I'm a bit waffly today, aren't I? So, snail along this little section here. I'll fold it over and seal it closed. And then we know that this is the front. So these being the sides, fold those in, and that one, and then the front part. I would put something stronger than snail on the bottom of the bag. I'm just using it for speed today. Fold those over. This part, you pinch it in, and that's when it closes over and all those holes line up. So that's folded in. So I'm going to grab my seam binding ribbon, which is here. It's lovely, very vanilla. And you start by coming through the front of this one. Oopsie daisy. Front of this one, front of this one here, through the back of this one, if I can see the hole. I can't see the hole at all. I really can't see it. Hook it through, I think, so I can't see what I'm doing without having to take it right out of your view. There we go. And then back through this part. There we go. And then when you pull, it'll all close up. Just make a vague attempt to tie a reasonable looking bow. It could have been worse. It's not bad. And then my flowers that I put on the front, because this wasn't sort of a big shot project, this was about the build of the box, I have already spent time and made my flowers, but they're using the spiral flower die, which is gorgeous. I haven't completely finished them off because, you know, building the flower is fine, but it's the squishing part that people often ask me, you know, how do you squish them down and get them, you know, sort of splayed out a bit. You take your bone folder over your completed rows, stick it straight across the top, and then push down quite hard. You can hear my voice change as I'm putting force onto it, and that splays them out. So it takes them from a closed flower into an open one. You can see that a bit better there. But if you want to see me making a rose and how to roll it, and I don't use hot glue when I'm closing my flowers up, go back to Ultimate Party Week, which was the 10th to the 17th of March, and I've got various video tutorials, and I think the very first one shows how I make the flowers, and completely, and how I roll them up. So I'm going to squash a little bit of glue on there to hold that one in place. A little bit under there. Oh, why did I do a white flower? Oh, that was a bit daft. I should have done very vanilla. Oh. We'll put a white flower on and we'll pretend it's vanilla. This is what happens when you prep at 11:30 at night, ready to film at 9:06 AM. Having already done 2 videos this morning. This is what happens, you pick out the wrong colour. Anyway, that is my quite big bag made from paper. Anyway, I hope you like it. We'll just cover that bit up. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to speak to you soon.